The case of Noah. Noah was one of the most fortunate human beings on the planet of Earth who enjoyed unusual mercy and grace. In Noah's time, God wiped a whole entire world that time out, and this man alone found grace, find favor with God. He was spared, his family was spared. Everything that remained on this earth right now that you can see, all of them came back from him. A man to be studied, a man that lived in the time of trouble, a man that lived in a time of recklessness, a man that lived in a time whereby waywardness was the order of the day, a man that God said, in this generation you alone have found grace in my sight. A man that single-handedly out of his righteousness judged the entire world, and the whole world was submerged in the water and everything destroyed, but he was spared. Noah, a man to be studied. Have you ever imagined that prior to the time of Noah, Adam had the two sons? The first son was known as Cain, right? The second one was known as Abel. Both of them brought offering to God, and in place of the offering, Cain slew his brother, right? Because he was not accepted. But because he was not accepted, oh Lord, the Bible said he killed his brother, and Cain from that moment went away from the presence of God. And Cain began to reproduce himself. He began to reproduce his kind. He filled the whole earth with his kind. And at that time, Adam has no other child. But Cain has already had many grandchildren all around. Children are born for him. He was everywhere. Cain, all of them are filled everywhere. They were giants. They were people without God. But after then, God remembered Adam and gave him another son known as Seth. And Seth, the Bible said, the moment Seth was born, people began to call on the name of God again. People began to pray to God again. So there are two generations going on the earth. There is one generation after Cain who has populated everywhere. There is another generation that is just starting from the man called Seth, who was just having a single boy, and he was so little in his home. And out of that generation of Seth came a man called Noah. Praise God. And every other one, the other side, they already populated everywhere with their evil, with their every atrocity you can talk about. They don't care. They sleep with anything. They sleep with what? With demons. They sleep with any. They were bringing giants. They don't care. The Bible says they went from the presence of God. Are we hearing the background of this? On that premises, Noah was chosen because he was a what? He was from the loins of Seth. And because of that one, God said, "You, I find grace in my sight." Even within the family of Seth, all of them are still Noah. They did not even believe Noah. Praise God. And because of his single hour, a single decision to serve God, God preserved the life of Noah. But after everything else was taken over, Noah did something that surprised me. And it's in that Genesis chapter 8. And the Bible said Noah came back. The moment his leg touched the earth again, after the flood, the first thing Noah decided to do was to build an altar to God. He could have said, "Oh, now the whole earth is mine." Is that not true? God did not ask for the altar. God did not ask for anything. God was pleased. But Noah said, the new opportunity is here. I am giving another chance where all my family, everyone I have ever known up to that moment are all gone. I am giving another privilege. He said, to this God, I will create an altar. And on that altar, the Bible says, Noah decided to create an altar. And he said, on this altar, oh Lord, I will sacrifice clean animals. I will bring my best on this altar. So it was what? God, this God of no limit is the God of altars. Praise God. So altar is a meeting point between heavens and the earth. So the Bible says we should present our own body as a living sacrifice. Oh Lord, so that you become a meeting point whereby the spirits meet. So altar determines what flows into your life. So this altar that this man raised, as a result of a single altar, the first altar he raised, he reclaimed Adam's lost covenant. The covenant that Adam lost at the beginning, that his forefather lost at the beginning, or this man reclaimed the covenant back. Because God spoke to him and said, you have stepped into a new dimension. Through you, I will propagate the earth. Through you, I will multiply the earth. Through you, I will fill the earth. Adam was the first person that received this covenant. But because of a single altar, he reclaimed the covenant that was once spoken. He also reclaimed fellowship. But the fellowship that was broken by what? By Adam, Noah restored it back on the earth. He walked with God in the corrupted generations. Beginning from today, you must build a personal altar. And this altar is the altar of thanksgiving.